Oh yes, virus worry. So okay, let's defer to our experts now. Joining us are Saurabh Mukherjee, the founder of Marcellus Investment, Vetri Subramaniam, Group President and Head Equity, UTI Asset Management, and Nilesh Shah, Managing Director, Kotak Mahindra Asset Management Company. Gentlemen, thank you very much for joining us. Nilesh, what's the sense you're getting? Because policy has moved in so much in all countries, should we at least go on the assumption that that 7,500 we saw on the Nifty is about the bottom, and we have at least put some contours to the volatility in the market?
Lata, it will be too early to say that. And as Prashant mentioned some time back, it's the virus which is going to decide. The stabilization in market this time will be driven by medical solution, not by financial solution. I'm sure the best of the brains today are working in finding a medical solution, which could be a combination of drug or a vaccine. Obviously, vaccine is going to take more time than combination of drug, but the bottom of market will be determined by medical solution, not by financial solution.
Okay, fair point.
Vetri, where do you stand? Same question.
Well, Prashant, I don't think there is any method by which one can model this, and certainly not forecast both a price line and a timeline. So, I don't think one should, vex too much about that. I think as investors, what we need to see is what is served up to us, not what is not within our control. We have some idea of where valuations are in a historical context, and those are attractive. And I think that's what we would prefer to be guided by than by models and forecasts over which we really have no control and little understanding.
Well, Saurabh, we spoke to you earlier as well when the markets were falling. There is a sense of being almost bombed out, and as all of you all have been saying, and Nilesh put it very well, the virus, it's a biological answer that you're waiting for. So the idea that you could be bombed again still remains. Therefore, what should be the installments? Should one put lesser money to work and keep your powder dry, because a better opportunity is always lurking?
Well, I don't know whether any of us can time the bottom, but I think what everybody's looking at is they're looking at Wuhan very carefully. That's the first major industrial zone which has gone into a lockdown and come out of it. It's been a week since Wuhan came out of the lockdown, and if China doesn't get, if Wuhan, southern China doesn't get another coronavirus breakout in the next 2-3 weeks, I think the working assumption around the world will be that if you're able to lock down effectively a large economy for a period of time, when you come out of lockdown, you don't get to use your phrase bombed again. So I think all eyes on Wuhan from a perspective of understanding how to deal with this issue. I think the second piece is until people are able to go back to work, right, in our country, which is middle of April, late April, it's going to be difficult to actually take advantage of these measures that the RBI has announced. So whilst the psychological relief, I think, is palpable, I certainly am feeling it sitting at home, to actually capitalize on this extra liquidity that the RBI has pumped in, for banks to use the facility to go and buy commercial paper, I think people will have to go back to work, and that's only in the second half of April. So for the markets to rally before the second half of April, both in terms of visibility from China on what's happening in Wuhan, and in terms of practical ability to capitalize on all these goodies that central banks around the world, including our one, is throwing at us, I think it's going to be a little difficult from a practical perspective. So I'm not expecting any roaring rally until the second half of April, and if things stabilize in China between now and then I think second half of April could potentially be very exciting.
Well, one question which everybody's debating is whether how long the lockdown itself will be. Will it be till the middle of April, or will it be to another 15 days after the 15th? Let me put that to all three of you. Nilesh, you go first. What's your work? Okay, I think we lost Nilesh there. Vetri, what's your working assumption?
I think, the issue is not exactly when the lockdown itself ends, but sort of picking up from what, Saurabh pointed to in Wuhan. What's the speed at which you can go back to something that we could define as being normal. Is going to be a 15-day period, a 1-month period, a 3-month period, because I doubt this is going to be the flip of a switch at the end of that 21-day period where everybody says, okay, you can go back to where you were 21 days ago. So I think there will be a slightly prolonged work-through period where we actually try and see what it means to be normal. So I don't expect a switch to get flipped.
No, I'm going to hijack your question because I think the governor put it very well. Here, there is too much uncertainty over the intensity, spread and duration of the problem. So, rather than try and answer that, how will you behave as a fund manager in that time period, Nilesh? Since we do not know the duration, and if you have some money, how are you going to go about investing?
So, my action as a fund manager will be different from my action as an investor. As a fund manager, my mandate is to remain fully invested. And by and large, we have followed that strategy. Now, clearly, there is a huge disruption coming, which we have not experienced in the past. So you have to go back to the basics, and you want to avoid businesses where your losses will be maximum if things don't plan out, things don't turn out. So one thing which we are avoiding right now is to stay away from leverage company. Leverage companies will face trouble surviving this downturn. Second thing, we are becoming extremely paranoid about everything. There are many companies, many businesses which we take it for granted that they'll deliver 20% growth. Now, you have to question every basic understanding or every basic assumption to verify that. No point in taking past experience or past performance as a guideline for future. You are getting lots of data. For example, one data which we have been tracking is the power consumption. And obviously, power consumption hasn't fallen as much as the lockdown should have resulted into. That means there is certain parts of economy which are still functioning nicely. When I say nicely, against the expectation of a complete shutdown, not in a normal manner. So you'll have to keep on processing as much data as possible and try to play as safe as possible. One more theme which probably will work across industries is that the big is going to become bigger. There will be flight to safety, there will be flight to quality, not only from a stock market point of view, but also from a business point of view. A banker will be far more comfortable lending money to a stronger name rather than weaker name. A customer will be far more comfortable giving contract to a bigger name and stronger name rather than weaker name. So we will have to somewhere move towards this big is becoming bigger or big is becoming better kind of formula.
Okay, well, Vetri, I wanted to ask whether you should actually go a little bit into debt now. In the sense not lending to indebted companies, but what I mean is debt instruments.
Lata, I don't have much of a view on that. I'm only an equity guy, so I will pass on that. Maybe Nilesh might have some thoughts to offer on that.
Okay, Nilesh, since you are the CEO of a fund that offers all products, and I think initially in the late 90s you were more of a debt fund manager. Is that that we should allocate a little more money there?
So today morning I received a complaint from my debt fund manager that after outperforming all the equity funds over last 1 year, 3 year, 5 year, 7 year kind of performance, at least now you start pushing debt. So at least I am doing my job. Hope he is listening. No, on a serious note, undoubtedly one must follow asset allocation. That's what we have been saying right from beginning. And debt is an important part of the portfolio. In a segment like in a environment like today, your debt investment comes handy. So please follow your asset allocation. Don't let go your asset allocation in favor of a momentum. There is a very high price to pay for it. Debt, equity, gold, real estate, all four needs to be part of an investor's portfolio.
Lata, we were talking about how the virus will determine the timeline. The news just coming in that Boris Johnson, Prime Minister of UK, has tested positive for the virus, right? I mean, so this is going to keep coming at us in various shapes and forms, so expect the unexpected in that sense. Saurabh, so you've been in extreme high quality even before this entire carnage began. So, I mean, I think you would be happy to hear what Nilesh said. I mean, the big get bigger, high quality gets even more premiumized in that sense, pricey. Is that the template forward?
Yeah, I mean, it is. So one of the reasons we haven't been as frazzled as a lot of people through this whole pandemic is that we're still up YOY. So I think we're up 8% YOY financial year to date. We're up 8%, and one of the reasons, exactly as you said, stocks like Nestle or Dr. Lal Path Labs or Abbott or Asian Paints, Pidilite, all of which are big holdings in our portfolio, simply haven't fallen as much. I think Nestle's in fact gone up, and over the next 2, 3, 4 months, as we all enter this sort of uncertain period where we need to figure out how to invest, and yet it's very uncertain. I think people will come back to stocks like this. I think if you see the opinions coming from the American CIOs, it's actually very clear. What they're saying is, we know we're not going to make that much money in America. We know US treasuries are giving close to zero. We know Europe has a big issue here. The British Prime Minister, Prince Charles, Spain, Italy. I think Europe is a very difficult place to invest. And yet we as CIOs of American pension funds, endowment funds, we need to make money. So if over the next 2-3 weeks, the debt rate in Asia keeps falling like it's fallen for the last 2-3 weeks, the reading I have of the Western CIOs is they'll come back to Asia in fairly strong numbers, in high volumes. When they come back to Asia, and specifically when they come back to India, I think they're going to go for the safe bets, which is high quality pharma, high quality FMCG. The theme that Nilesh and I have been discussing for a while, which is in every sector, go for the 1 or 2 market leaders, and you need to deploy money, you need to make money, but you don't have the courage to buy a cyclical industrial. So you buy a Nestle or a Divi's Lab or a Dr. Lal Path Labs, those sorts of names, and make money from that, because it's relatively clear, even in a pandemic, you'll buy medicines and baby milk powder and so on. So it feels to me that is the sort of no-brainer play through this crisis.
Okay. Well, pharma, did you say? I do think that perhaps health will elicit far more importance both at an individual level and at a national level. So that question, whether pharma will become the flag bearer of the next, I won't say rally, but recovery, that question to our guests in a bit after this break.
I'm actually very bullish on the market at this point. I think whatever scenarios you paint for this virus issue globally, from a time-wise perspective, it should not last more than 3 to 6 to 9 months.
Somebody who has courage and cash and also conviction, this is the time to deploy that money selectively in the identified names, and with the full knowledge that this may continue for some more time.
The market bottom formation has started. But I think the most crucial thing right now is to see how does the lockdown will go ahead in India.
Over the next 2, 6, 12 months, it's not going to be about the index, it's going to be about stock. I wouldn't be a buyer in any of the banks, which have lost a significant ground.
The recovery is because the ETF selling is now over, and also many short selling positions would have recovered. I think we should be near the bottom.
These are opinions we got through the week. So all the optimistic opinions are the views we got on the day when the market ended in the green. The pessimistic views are those we got on the day when the market ended in the red, and deeply in the red. We've been speaking with Saurabh Mukherjee, with Vetri Subramaniam and Nilesh Shah on taking stock. Vetri, before we went into the break, my question was, will pharma be the new flag bearer? But I don't want to tie you down to pharma. What do you think would be the pecking order in terms of sectors?
Yeah, thanks, Lata. Well, I'd be very biased in terms of pharma doing well because we are overweight pharma in funds. But in all fairness, we were overweight long before this recent sell-off, and therefore it's actually been a painful position for, I would say, the last 6 months or so. Thankfully, in this downturn, it didn't do as poorly as some other areas. So that's good. But I don't really necessarily see a big swing in favor of pharma just because things have turned sour because of COVID-19. I think the reason to like pharma is that the companies are cheap. Many of them are restructuring. Some of them have already addressed some of their historical issues and they're getting back on growth trajectory. So it's really just the combination of valuations and opportunity which makes us positively inclined towards pharma. I know you also opened up to say other sectors. I'll just make 2 points. I think at this point, it's very hard to figure out what the first order impact is, what the second order impact is. And I don't want to shoot from the hip by saying, okay, everybody's going to be working from home, so it's going to be great for telecom, nobody's going to fly, so it's going to be bad for airlines. I think that's very simplistic, first level thinking. Eventually people will need to fly. The question is, can your airline survive and be one of the survivors when things go back to some kind of normal? So I think it's about picking the right companies which can emerge from these challenges and actually grow faster and gain market share, maybe because competition will be lesser 2 to 3 months down the road or even 6 months down the road when things normalize. So I still think it's more about picking those stocks rather than, palpitating too much about sectors to go into or go out of. And, certainly don't use COVID-19 as the only prism through which you want to evaluate that.
Point.
Okay, the next question is about, so we heard from the government before, then we heard from the RBI today, and I think now all eyes will turn towards Delhi once again in terms of what else the government needs to do for the industry, right? I mean, I think it's and there the issue of money comes up, and I think Lata will have some thoughts on this as well in terms of how the government can raise money. Lots of opinion, but Nilesh, time for the government to use provisions under the FRBM Act, etc., to meaningfully raise money, maybe get the RBI to buy directly, debt directly from the government. Do you think the time for that has come?
Undoubtedly, we are progressing in a stepwise manner. The first focus was on the life, so isolation and other processes came into play. Second process was related to removing compliance hurdle pressure on businesses which are going through challenging times. The third came financial support in terms of markets and banking system. Now there should be and there will be sector-specific packages to support businesses. For example, I spoke with one industrialist who was running a textile company. Labor is a significant percentage of cost in garment making. Now, if you have to pay them salaries, clearly the sales are virtually zero because of complete shutdown. Online is not doing that well. Now, those businesses will require some support. So we will have to increase fiscal stimulus and we'll have to worry about funding them through innovative means. But there will be more steps required to support businesses and industry.
Okay, got that. Saurabh, last question to you. What would be your 3 main attractions to buy and 3 things you will avoid?
I think look essential products / essential services with high barriers to entry. So the top providers of essential products and services, and it's not just pharma and FMCG, but even say insurance, right? General insurance companies, path lab companies. Those will be the big draws, I think, for everybody. Things to avoid: leveraged companies. Anybody who's got lots of debt will be treading water for the next 6 months, and by implication, many of the NBFCs and weaker private sector banks, I think it's going to be a tough old 6 months for them in spite of the RBI's fireworks today.
All right. Gentlemen, out of time, but thank you very much, Vetri, Nilesh and Saurabh for joining us. That's a lot of thoughts to ruminate over the weekend. With that, we wrap up this edition of Taking Stock.
Thanks very much for watching.